15,000 Useful Phrases, a practical handbook of pertinent expressions, striking similes, literary, commercial, conversational, and oratorical terms, for the embellishment of speech and literature, and the improvement of the vocabulary of those persons who read, write, and speak English. By Grenville Kleiser. Introduction. The most powerful and the most perfect expression of thought and feeling through the medium of oral language must be traced to the mastery of words. Nothing is better suited to lead speakers and readers of English into an easy control of this language than the command of the phrase that perfectly expresses the thought. Every speaker's aim is to be heard and understood. A clear, crisp articulation holds an audience as by the spell of some irresistible power. The choice word, the correct phrase, are instruments that may reach the heart, and awake the soul if they fall upon the ear in melodious cadence. But if the utterance be harsh and discordant, they fail to interest, fall upon deaf ears, and are as barren as seed sown on fallow ground. In language, nothing conduces so emphatically to the harmony of sounds as perfect phrasing, that is, the emphasizing of the relation of clause to clause, and of sentence to sentence, by the systematic grouping of words. The phrase consists usually of a few words which denote a single idea that forms a separate part of a sentence. In this respect, it differs from the clause, which is a short sentence that forms a distinct part of a composition, paragraph, or discourse. Correct phrasing is regulated by rests. Such rests do not break the continuity of a thought or the progress of the sense. Grenville Kleiser, who has devoted years of his diligent life to imparting the art of correct expression in speech and writing, has provided many aids for those who would know not merely what to say, but how to say it. He has taught also what the great Holmes taught, that language is a temple in which the human soul is enshrined, and that it grows out of life, out of its joys and its sorrows, its burdens and its necessities. To him, as well as to the writer, the deep strong voice of man and the low sweet voice of woman are never heard at finer advantage than in the earnest but mellow tones of familiar speech. In the present volume, Mr. Kleiser furnishes an additional and an exceptional aid for those who would have a mint of phrases at their command from which to draw when in need of the golden mean for expressing thought. Few indeed are the books fitted today for the purpose of imparting this knowledge, yet 2 centuries ago phrase books were esteemed as supplements to the dictionaries, and have not by any manner of means lost their value. The guide to familiar quotations, the index to similes, the grammars, the readers, the machine-made letter-writer of mechanically perfect letters of congratulation or condolence, none are sententious enough to supply the need. By the compilation of this praxis, Mr. Kleiser has not only supplied it, but has furnished a means for the increase of one's vocabulary by practical methods. There are thousands of persons who may profit by the systematic study of such a book as this, if they will familiarize themselves with the author's purpose by a careful reading of the preliminary pages of his book. To speak in public pleasingly and readily, and to read well, are accomplishments acquired only after many days, weeks even, of practice. Foreigners sometimes reproach us for the asperity and discordance of our speech, and in general this reproach is just, for there are many persons who do scanty justice to the vowel elements of our language. Although these elements constitute its music, they are continually mistreated. We flirt with and pirouette around them constantly. If it were not so, English would be found full of beauty and harmony of sound. Familiar with the maxim, "Take care of the vowels, and the consonants will take care of themselves," a maxim that, when put into practice, has frequently led to the breaking down of vowel values. The writer feels that the common custom of allowing the consonants to take care of themselves is pernicious. It leads to suppression or to imperfect utterance, and thus produces indistinct articulation. The English language is so complex in character that it can scarcely be learned by rule, and can best be mastered by the study of such idioms and phrases as are provided in this book. But just as care must be taken to place every accent or stress on the proper syllable in the pronouncing of every word it contains, so must the stress or emphasis be placed on the proper word in every sentence spoken. To read or speak pleasingly, one should resort to constant practice by doing so aloud in private, or preferably in the presence of such persons as know good reading when they hear it, and are masters of the melody of sounds. It was Dean Swift's belief that the common fluency of speech in many men and most women was due to scarcity of matter and scarcity of words. He claimed that a master of language possessed a mind full of ideas, and that before speaking, such a mind paused to select the choice word, the phrase best suited to the occasion. Common speakers, he said, have only one set of ideas and one set of words to clothe them in, and these are always ready on the lips. Because he holds the Dean's view sound today, the writer will venture to warn the readers of this book against a habit that, growing far too common among us, should be checked. And this is the iteration and reiteration in conversation of the battered, stale, and trite phrases, the like of which were credited by the worthy Dean to the women of his time. Human thought elaborates itself with the progress of intelligence. Speech is the harvest of thought, and the relation which exists between words and the mouths that speak them must be carefully observed. Just as nothing is more beautiful than a word fitly spoken, so nothing is rarer than the use of a word in its exact meaning. There is a tendency to overwork both words and phrases that is not restricted to any particular class. The learned sin in this respect even as do the ignorant, and the practice spreads until it becomes an epidemic. The epidemic word with us yesterday was unquestionably conscription. Several months ago it was preparedness. Before then efficiency was heard on every side and succeeded in superseding vocational teaching, only to be displaced in turn by life extension activities. Safety first had a long run which was brought almost to abrupt end by strict accountability. But these are mere reflections of our cosmopolitan life and activities. There are others that stand out as indicators of brain weariness. These are most frequently met in the work of our novelists. English authors and journalists are abusing and overworking the word intrigue today. Sir Arthur Quillercouch, on page 81 of his book On the Art of Writing, uses it. We are intrigued by the process of manufacture instead of being wearied by a description of the ready-made article. Mrs. Sidgwick, in Salt and Savour, page 232, wrote, "But what intrigued her was little Mamma's remark at breakfast." From the Parliamentary News one learns that Mr. Harcourt intrigued the House of Commons by his sustained silence for 2 years, and that London is interested in and not a little intrigued by the statement. This use of intrigue in the sense of perplex, puzzle, trick, or deceive dates from 1600. Then it fell into a state of somnolence, and after an existence of innocuous desuetude, lasting till 1794, it was revived, only to hibernate again until 1894. It owes its new release of life to a writer on the Westminster Gazette, a London journal famous for its competitions in aid of the restoring of the dead meanings of words. One is almost exasperated by the repeated use and abuse of the word intimate. In a recently published work of fiction by an author who aspires to the first rank in his profession, he writes of the intimate dimness of the room, a fierce intimate whispering, a look that was intimate, the noise of the city was intimate, etc. Who has not heard the idea? What's the idea? Is that the idea? Yes, that's the idea, with increased inflection at each repetition. And who is without a friend who at some time or another has not sprung meticulous upon him? Another example is afforded by the endemic use of sorts, which struck London while the writer was in that city a few years ago. Whence it came no one knew, but it was heard on every side. She was a woman of sorts. He is a Tory of sorts. He had a religion of sorts. He was a critic of sorts. While it originally meant of different or various kinds, as hats of sorts, offices of sorts, cheese of sorts, etc., it is now used disparagingly, and implies something of a kind that is not satisfactory, or of a character that is rather poor. This, as Shakespeare might have said, is "sodden business. There's a stewed phrase indeed." Footnote: Troilus and Cressida, Act 3, Scene 1. End footnote. The abuse of phrases and the misuse of words rife among us can be checked by diligent exercises in good English, such as this book provides. These exercises, in conjunction with others to be found in different volumes by the same author, will serve to correct careless diction and slovenly speech, and lead to the art of speaking and writing correctly. For after all, accuracy in the use of words is more a matter of habit than of theory, and once it is acquired, it becomes just as easy to speak or to write good English as bad English. It was Chesterfield's resolution not to speak a word in conversation which was not the fittest he could recall. All persons should avoid using words whose meanings they do not know, and with the correct application of which they are unfamiliar. The best spoken and the best written English is that which conforms to the language as used by men and women of culture, a high standard, it is true, but one not so high that it is unattainable by any earnest student of the English tongue. Frank H. Visitelli. End of introduction.
Section 1 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Maria Moravi. How to use his book. The study of words, phrases, and literary expressions is a highly interesting pursuit. There is a reciprocal influence between thought and language. What we think molds the words we use, and the words we use react upon our thoughts. Hence, a study of words is a study of ideas, and a stimulant to deep and original thinking. We should not, however, study sparkling words and sonorous phrases with the object of introducing them consciously into our speech. To do so would inevitably lead to stiltedness and superficiality. Words and phrases should be studied as symbols of ideas, and as we become thoroughly familiar with them, they will play an unconscious but effective part in our daily expression. We acquire our vocabulary largely from our reading and our personal associates. The words we use are an unmistakable indication of our thought habits, tastes, ideals, and interests in life. In like manner, the habitual language of a people is a barometer of their intellectual, civil, moral, and spiritual ideals. A great and noble people express themselves in great and noble words. Ruskin earnestly counsels us to form the habit of looking intensely at words. We should scrutinize them closely and endeavor to grasp their innermost meaning. There is an indefinable satisfaction in knowing how to choose and use words with accuracy and precision. As Fox once said, "I am never at a loss for a word, but Pitt always has the word." All the great writers and orators have been diligent students of words. Demosthenes and Cicero were indefatigable in their study of language. Shakespeare, infinite in faculty, took infinite pains to embody his thought in words of crystal clearness. Coleridge once said of him that one might as well try to dislodge a brick from a building with one's forefinger as to omit a single word from one of his finest passages. Milton, master of majestic prose, under whose touch words became as living things. Flaubert, who believed there was one and only one best word with which to express a given thought. De Quincey, who exercised a weird-like power over words. Ruskin, whose rhythmic prose enchanted the ear. Keats, who brooded over phrases like a lover. Newman, of pure and melodious style. Stevenson, forever in quest of the scrupulously precise word. Tennyson, graceful and exquisite as a limpid stream. Emerson, of trenchant and epigrammatic style. Webster, whose virile words sometimes weighed a pound. And Lincoln, of simple Saxon speech. All these illustrious men were assiduous in their study of words. Many persons of good education unconsciously circumscribe themselves within a small vocabulary. They have a knowledge of hundreds of desirable words which they do not put into practical use in their speech or writing. Many, too, are conscious of a poverty of language, which engenders in them a sense of timidity and self-depreciation. The method used for building a large vocabulary has usually been confined to the study of single words. This has produced good results, but it is believed that eminently better results can be obtained from a careful study of words and expressions, as furnished in this book, where words can be examined in their context. It is intended and suggested that this study should be pursued in connection with, and as a supplement to, a good standard dictionary. 15 minutes a day devoted to this subject, in the manner outlined, will do more to improve and enlarge the vocabulary than an hour spent in desultory reading. There is no better way in which to develop the mental qualities of clearness, accuracy, and precision, and to improve and enlarge the intellectual powers generally, than by regular and painstaking study of judiciously selected phrases and literary expressions. End of Section 1. This recording is in the public domain. Section 2 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Maria Morabe. Plan of study. First, examine the book in a general way to grasp its character, scope, and purpose. Carefully note the following plan of classification of the various kinds of phrases, and choose for initial study a section which you think will be of the most immediate value to you. 1. Useful phrases. 2. Significant phrases. 3. Felicitous phrases. 4. Impressive phrases. 5. Prepositional phrases. 6. Business phrases. 7. Literary expressions. 8. Striking similes. 9. Conversational phrases. 10. Public speaking phrases. 11. Miscellaneous phrases. There are many advantages in keeping before you a definite purpose in your study of this book. A well-defined plan will act as an incentive to regular and systematic effort, and incidentally develop your power of concentration. It is desirable that you set apart a certain convenient time each day for this study. Regularity tends to produce maximum results. As you progress with this work, your interest will be quickened, and you will realize the desirability of giving more and more time to this important subject. When you have chosen a section of the book which particularly appeals to you, begin your actual study by reading the phrases aloud. Read them slowly and understandingly. This tends to impress them more deeply upon your mind, and is in itself one of the best and most practical ways of acquiring a large and varied vocabulary. Moreover, the practice of fitting words to the mouth rapidly develops fluency and facility of speech. Few persons realize the great value of reading aloud. Many of the foremost English stylists devoted a certain period regularly to this practice. Cardinal Newman read aloud each day a chapter from Cicero as a means of developing his ear for sentence rhythm. Rufus Choate, in order to increase his command of language, and to avoid sinking into mere empty fluency, read aloud daily, during a large part of his life, a page or more from some great English author. As a writer has said, the practice of storing the mind with choice passages from the best prose writers and poets, and thus flavoring it with the essence of good literatures, is one which is commended both by the best teachers and by the example of some of the most celebrated orators, who have adopted it with signal success. This study should be pursued with a pencil in hand, so that you may readily underscore phrases which make a special appeal to you. The free use of a pencil in marking significant parts of a book is good evidence of thoroughness. This, too, will facilitate your work of subsequent review. The habit of regularly copying, in your own handwriting, one or more pages of phrases will be of immense practical value. This exercise is a great aid in developing a facile English style. The daily use of the pen has been recommended in all times as a valuable means of developing oral and literary expression. A helpful exercise is to pronounce a phrase aloud and then fit it into a complete sentence of your own making. This practice gives added facility and resourcefulness in the use of words. As an enthusiastic student of good English, you should carefully note striking and significant phrases or literary expressions which you find in your general reading. These should be set down in a notebook reserved for this exclusive purpose. In this way, you can prepare many lists of your own, and thus greatly augment the value of this study. The taste for beauty, truth, and harmony in language can be developed by a careful study of well-selected phrases and literary expressions as furnished in this book. A good literary style is formed principally by daily study of great English writers, by careful examination of words in their context, and by a discriminating use of language at all times. Grenville Kleiser, New York City, July, 1917. End of Section 2. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 3 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Betsy Bush. Marquette, Michigan, August 2006. Useful Phrases. Abandoned hope. Abated pride. Abbreviated visit. Abhorred thraldom. Abiding romance. Abject submission. Abjured ambition. Able strategist. Abnormal talents. Abominably perverse. Abounding happiness. Abridged statement. Abrogated law. Abrupt transition. Absolutely irrevocable. Absorbed reverie. Abstemious diet. Abstract character. Abstruse reasoning. Absurdly dangerous. Abundant opportunity. Abusive epithet. Abysmally apologetic. Academic rigor. Accelerated progress. Accentuated playfulness. Accepted littleness. Accessible pleasures. Accessory circumstances. Accidental lapse. Accommodating temper. Accomplished ease. Accredited agent. Accumulated burden. Accurate appraisement. Accursed enemy. Accusing glance. Accustomed lucidity. Aching desire. Acknowledged authority. Acoustical effects. Acquired timidity. Acrid controversy. Acrimonious warfare. Actively zealous. Actualized ideals. Acutely conscious. Adamantine rigidity. Adaptive wit. Adduced facts. Adequate execution. Adhesive quality. Administered rebuke. Admirable reserve. Admissible evidence. Admittedly inferior. Admonitory gesture. Adolescent youth. Adorable vanity. Adroit flatterer. Adulated stranger. Adventitious way. Adventurous mind. adverse experience, affably accommodating, affected indifference, affectionate approval, affianced lady, affirmative attitude, affluent language, affrighted slave, aggravated faults, aggregate body, aggressive selfishness, agile mind, agitated imagination, agonizing appeal, agreeable frankness, aimless confusion, airy splendor, alarming rapidity, alert acceptance, algebraic brevity, alien splendor, alleged reluctance, allegorical vein, allied subjects, alliterative suggestion, all-pervading influence, alluring idleness, alternating opinion, altogether dissimilar, altruistic ideal, amatory effusions, amazing artifice, ambidextrous assistant, ambiguous grimace, ambitious project, ambling pedestrian, ambrosial essence, amiable solicitude, amicable arrangement, amorous youth, ample culture. End of section 3. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 4 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org. Amusing artlessness, analogous example, analytical survey, ancestral creed, ancient garb, angelic softness, angry protestations, anguished entreaty, angular features, animated eloquence, annoying complications, anomalous appearance, anonymous benefactor, answering response, antagonistic views, antecedent facts, anticipated attention, antiquated prudery, anxious misgiving, apathetic greeting, aphoristic wit, apish agility, apocalyptic vision, apocryphal lodger, apologetic explanation, apostrophic dignity, appalling difficulties, apparent significance, appealing picture, appointed function, apposite illustration, appreciable relief, appreciative fervor, apprehensive dread, apprentice touch, appropriate designation, approving smile, approximately correct, aptly suggested, arbitrarily imposed, arch conspirator, arched embrasure, archaeological pursuits, architectural grandeur, ardent protest, arduous quest, arid formula, aristocratic lineage, aromatic fragrance, errant trifling, arrested development, arrogant imposition, artful adaptation, artificial suavity, artistic elegance, artless candor, ascending supremacy, ascetic devotion, ascribed productiveness, aspiring genius, assembled arguments, asserted activity, assiduously cultivated, assimilative power, assumed humiliation, assuredly enshrined, astonishing facility, astounding mistakes, astute observer, athletic prowess, atmospheric vagueness, atoning sacrifice, atrocious expression, atrophied view, attending circumstances, attentive deference, attenuated sound, attested loyalty, attractive exordium, audacious mendicant, audible intimations, augmented force, august tribunal, auspicious moment, austere charm, authentic indications, authoritative critic, autobiographical pages, autocratic power, automatic termination, autumnal skies, auxiliary aids, available data, avaricious eyes, avenging fate, average excellence, averted calamity, avowed intention, awakened curiosity, odd devotion, awful dejection, awkward dilemma, axiomatic truth, azure sky. End of section 4. This recording is public domain. Section 5 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org. Babbling gossip, bacchanalian desires, bachelor freedom, bad omen, baffled sagacity, balanced capacity, baldly described, baleful glances, balmy fragrance, bandying talk, baneful impression, banished silence, barbarous statecraft, barefaced appeal, barest commonplaces, barren opportunities, base intrigues, baseless assumptions, bashful modesty, basic principles, battered witticism, beaming countenance, bearish rudeness, beatific vision, beautiful modesty, beckoning horizon, becoming diffidence, bedraggled wretch, befitting honor, beggarly flimsiness, beguiling voice, belated acknowledgment, belittling fears, bellicose humanity, beneficent career, benevolent regard, benighted sense, benignant pity, beseeching gesture, besetting heresy, besotted fanaticism, bestial ferocity, bewildering maze, bewitching airs, beyond peradventure, bibulous diversions, bigoted contempt, binding obligation, bitter recrimination, bizarre apparel, blackening west, blameless indolence, blanched desolation, bland confidence, blank misgivings, blasphemous hypocrisy, blatant discourse, blazing audacity, blazoned shield, bleak loneliness, blended impression, blessed condolence, blighted happiness, blind partisan, blissful consciousness, blistering satire, blithe disregard, bloated equivalent, bloodless creature, bloodthirsty malice, blundering discourtesy, blunt rusticity, blurred vision, blustering assertion, boastful positiveness, bodily activity, boisterous edification, bold generalization, bombastic prating, bookish precision, boon companion, boorish abuse, bored demeanor, borrowed grace, bottomless abyss, boundless admiration, bountiful supply, boyish appreciation, braggart pretense, bravely vanquished, braying trumpet, brazen importunity, breathless eagerness, brief tenure, briefless barrister, bright interlude, brilliant embodiment, brisk energy, bristling temper, brittle sarcasm, broadening fame, broken murmurs, brooding peace, brutal composure, bubbling frivolities, bucolic cudgeling, budding joy, bulky figure, buoyant pluck, burdensome business, burly strength, burning zeal, bursting laugh, busily engrossed, business acumen, bygone period. End of section 5. This recording is public domain. Section 6 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org. Cabalistic phrase, cadaverous appearance, calamitous course, calculating admiration, callous indifference, calm resignation, calumnious suspicions, cantankerous enemy, canting hypocrite, capacious mind, capricious allurements, captivating speech, cardinal merit, careless parrying, caressing grasp, carping critic, castellated towers, casual violation, cataclysmic elements, causelessly frightened, caustic remark, cautious skepticism, cavernous gloom, ceaseless vigilance, celebrated instance, celestial joy, censorious critic, centralized wealth, ceremonious courtesy, cerulean blue, challenge admiration, chance reflections, changing exigencies, chaotic plans, characteristic audacity, charitable allowance, charming radiance, chary instincts, chastened hope, chatty familiarity, cheap resentment, cheery response, checkered career, cherished objects, childlike ingenuousness, chilled cynicism, chirpy familiarities, chivalrous spirit, choicest refinements, choleric temperament, choral chant, chronic frailties, churlish temper, circling eddyings, circuitous information, circumscribed purpose, civic consciousness, civilizing influence, clammy death, clamorous vibration, clangorous industry, clarion tone, class demarcations, classical objurgation, clattering accents, clear insight, climactic revelation, clinching proof, cloaked nature, cloistered virtue, close condensation, cloudy magnificence, clownishly insensible, cloying sweetness, clumsy talk, clustering trees, coarse necessity, coaxing eloquence, coercive enactment, cogent statement, coherent thinking, coined metaphor, cold formalities, collateral duties. End of section 6. This recording is public domain. Section 7 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org. Collective wisdom, colloquial display, colonial character, colossal failure, comatose state, combative tone, comforting reassurance, comic infelicity, commanding attitude, commendable purpose, commercial opulence, commingled emotion, commodiously arranged, common substratum, commonplace illusions, compact fitness, comparative scantiness, compassionate love, compelling force, compendious abstract, compensatory character, competent authority, competitive enterprise, complacent platitudes, complaining sea, complacent observation, complete aloofness, complex notions, complicated maze, complementary glance, component aspects, composed zeal, composite growth, compound idea, comprehensive design, compressed view, compromising rashness, compulsory repetition, compunctious visitings, concatenated pedantries, concealed advantage, conceivable comparison, concentrated vigor, concerted action, conciliating air, concomitant events, concrete realities, concurrent testimony, condemnable rashness, condescending badinage, conditional approval, confessed ardor, confidently anticipated, confirmed misanthrope, conflicting influences, confused mingling, conjectural estimate, conjugal felicity, connected series, connotative damage, connubial love, conquering intelligence, conscientious objection, conscious repugnance, consecrated endeavor, consequent retribution, conservative distrust, considerate hint, consistent friendliness, consoling consciousness, conspicuous ascendancy, constant reiteration, constitutional reserve, constrained politeness, constructive idealists, consuming zeal, consummate mastery, contagious wit, contaminating influence, contemplative nature, contemporary fame, contemptuous disrespect, contented indolence, contingent reasons. End of section 7. This recording is public domain.
Section 8 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Pallavi, Hyderabad, India, August 2006. Continuous endeavor, contracted expression, contracted view, contradictory theories, contrary tendencies, contrasted types, controversial disputant, contumelious epithet, convenient footing, conventional verbiage, conversational decorum, convincing forcefulness, convivial habits, convulsive agony, cool confidence, copious materials, coquettish advances, cordial approval, corporate selfishness, corporeal constituent, correct forecast, corresponding variation, corroborated truth, corrosive effect, corrupting tendency, cosmical changes, cosmopolitan position, costly advantages, counterbalancing power, countless barriers, courageous eagerness, courteous solicitude, courtly bearing, covert curiosity, coveted honors, cowardly concession, covering agitation, coy reluctance, crackling laughter, crafty deception, craggy eminence, cramped energies, crass stolidity, craven determination, creative faculty, credibly informed, creditative performance, credulous superstition, creeping progress, criminal negligence, crinkling smile, crisp dialogue, critical judgment, crouching culprit, crowning indiscretion, crucial instance, crucifying irony, crude affection, cruel handicap, crumbling precipice, crunching jangle, crushing sorrow, cryptic saying, crystalline sky, crystallized conclusions, culinary myrmidons, culminating fascination, culpable behavior, cultivated ferocity, cultured idleness, cumbrous fragments, cumulative tendency, cunningly contrived, curbed profligacy, curious coincidence, current gossip, curry favor, cursed inactivity, cursory acquaintance, curt formality, curtained embrasure, cutting directness, cycloramic sweep, cynical disregard. End of section 8. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 9 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Diana Trolldahl, otherwise.blogspot.com. D. Damaging admission. Damask cheek. Damask is a rich patterned fabric, wavy pattern on Damascus steel. Dampened ardor, dancing sunshine, dangerous temerity, dappled shadows, daring candor, dark superstition, dashing gallantry, dastardly injustice, dauntless courage, dawning instinct, dazed brain, dazzling triumph, deadly virulence, deaf tribunal, deathless structure, debasing tendency, debatable point, debilitating features, decadent poets, deceiving mists, decided superiority, decisive manner, declamatory treatment, declamatory, pretentiously rhetorical, bombastic, declared brotherhood, decorously adorned, deepening dusk, deep-seated curiosity, deep-toned lamentations, defective construction, defenseless innocence, defensive alliance, deferential regard, defiant coldness, deficient vitality, definite conception, deformed visage, deft evasion, degrading tendencies, delectable speculations, delegated power, deliberate abnegation, abnegation, self-denial, delicate discrimination, delicious vagueness, delightful variation, delirious ecstasies, delusive charm, demagogic style, democratic institutions, demoniacal force, demonstrable conclusion, demoralizing luxury, demure composure, denunciatory terms, departed glories, deplorable decay, deprecatory shrug, depressing concomitants, depthless forest, derisive voice, derogatory denial, descriptive power, desecrated ideals, deserted desert, deserved approbation, approbation, warm approval, praise, desirable distinction, desolating dread, despairing austerity, desperate defiance, despicable vices, despondent exaggeration, despotic rulers, destructive radicalism, desultory vacillation, desultory, disconnected, haphazard, random, detailed portraiture, detected hypocrisies, determinate swing, detestable purpose, dethroned princes, detrimental result, devastating effect, devilish sophistries, deviously subtle, devitalized personality, devoted attachment, devouring ambition, devout thanksgiving, dewy coolness, dexterous impudence, diabolical passion, dialectic power, diametrically opposite, dictatorial manner, dictionary significance, didactic exposition, didactic, intended to be morally instructive, different distortion, difficult portraiture, diffident civility, diffident, lacking self-confidence, shy, timid, diffuse verbosity, dignified austerity, digressional adventure, dilettante mind, dilettante, dabbler in a field of knowledge, diligently propagated. End of section 9. This recording is in the public domain. Section 10 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Diana Trolldahl, otherwise.blogspot.com. Dim comprehension, diminished efficacy, diminutive stature, diplomatic skill, dire consummation, direct obligation, disappointing attitude, disarmed criticism, disastrous termination, discarded reminiscences, discerning critic, disciplined mind, disclosed insincerity, discomfited opponent, disconcerted conjecture, disconcerted conjecture, disconnected fancies, disconsolate opinions, discordant sounds, discredited statement, discretional opinion, discriminating homage, discursive staggerings, disdainful comment, diseased hallucinations, disembodied personality, disengaged air, disfiguring disguise, disgraceful plight, disgruntled pessimist, disguised contempt, disgusted protest, disheartening facts, dishonorable submission, disillusioned youth, disintegrating tendency, disinterested motive, disjoined reminiscences, dismal seclusion, dismantled appearance, disordered imagination, disparaging criticism, dispassionate judgment, dispelling fear, displeasing softness, disproportionate ideas, disputative philosopher, disquieting thrill, disreputable aspect, dissenting opinion, dissimilar laws, dissipated illusion, dissolute audacity, dissolving years, dissonant jargon, distant adherent, distasteful notion, distempered feeling, distinct desideratum, distorted vanity, distracting babble, distraught air, distressing laxity, disturbed equanimity, diurnal rotation, divergent calculations, diversified attributes, diverting interests, divine potentialities, dizzy precipice, documentary evidence, dogged determination, doggerel expressions, doggerel, crude, humorous verse, dogmatic assurance, doleful forebodings, domestic endearment, dominating influence, domineering insolence, dormant capacities, doubly odious, doubtful authenticity, downright nonsense, downtrodden drudge, drab apology, dramatic liveliness, drastic action, dread presence, dreaming adventurer, dreamless rest, dreary disrelish, droll incongruity, droning world, drowsy tranquility, dubious success, ductile language, dulcet tone, dull aversion, dumb surprise, dumbfounded amazement, durable impression, dusky obscurity, dutiful compliance, dynamic energy, dynastic insolence. End of section 10. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 11 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by David Barnes. London, August 2006. Eager animosity, early servitude, earnestly espoused, earthly splendor, easy garrulity, eccentric casuists, ecclesiastical rule, echoless silence, economic absurdity, ecstatically happy, edifying exhortation, educational enterprise, effective embellishment, effectual stimulus, effeminate grace, effervescent multitude, effete aristocracy, efficacious power, efficient education, efflorescent style, effulgent daybeams, egoistic sentiment, egregious mistake, ejaculatory prayer, elaborate composition, elastic ductility, electric effluvium, elegant mediocrity, elemental emotions, elephantine footsteps, elevated enjoyment, elfish grace, eloquent refutation, elusive charm, emancipating labours, embarrassing variety, embellished truths, embittered gaze, emblazoned pinnacles, embryo enterprise, emerald scintillations, eminent nonentity, emotional warmth, emotive power, emphatic earnestness, empirical corroboration, empty phraseology, emulative zeal, enamoured troubadour, enchanted garden, encircling embrace, endearing appellation, endless dissertation, enduring charm, energetic enthusiasm, enervating humility, enfeebled activity, enforced silence, engaging affability, engendered feelings, engrossing purpose, engulfing waters, enhanced reputation, enigmatical silence, enlightened solicitude, enlivened monotony, ennobling personality, enormously outbalanced, enraptured attention, enriched experience, entangled subject, enthralling charm, enthusiastic adherence, enticing odours, entire domain, entrancing sadness. End of section 11. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 012 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Sherry Kern, Gerards Fort, PA, on June 4th, 2007. Enveloping presence, envenomed attacks, inviolable superiority, environing conditions, ephemeral duration, Epicurean taste, epigrammatic sallies, equable composure, equally efficacious, equitably governed, equivocal compliment, erotic poem, errant thoughts, erratic flight, erroneous assumption, erudite labors, eruptive violence, esoteric doctrine, especial pleasure, essential prerequisite, estimable qualities, eternal hostility, ethereal azure, ethical wisdom, euphuistic affectations, evanescent glances, evangelic doctrine, evasive answer, effectual circumstance, eventual failure, everlasting mysteries, everyday reality, evident authority, evil necromancy, eviscerating shrieks, exact antithesis, exacting taskmaster, exaggerated estimate, exalted imagination, exasperating coolness, exceedingly acceptable, excellent discernment, exceptional magnitude, excessive zeal, excitable temperament, exclusive pursuant, excruciatory secretion, excruciating accents, excursive fancy, execrable villainy, executive efficiency, exemplary conduct, exhaustless energy, exhilarating charm, exoteric scorn, exotic appearance, expansive benevolence, expectant throng, expeditionary force, expeditiously secreted, experimental suggestion, expiatory sacrifices, explicit injunction, explosive violence, expressionless visage, expressive lineaments, exquisite tact, extemporaneous effusion, extended magnitude, extenuating circumstance, external cheerfulness, extraneous ideas, extraordinary vivacity, extravagant caprice, extremely picturesque, exuberant mirth, exultant condition. End of section 012. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 13 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by E. Pline. Facetious mood, facile criticism, factitious propensity, faded magnificence, faintly sinister, faithfully perpetuated, fallacious hopes, false illusions, faltering tongue, familiar sacredness, famished veracity, fanatical admiration, fanciful alliance, fantastic display, farcical expedient, far-reaching influence, fascinating elusiveness, fashion symmetrically, fastidious taste, fatal disclosure, fatalistic belief, fathomless powers, fatiguing assertion, fattening servitude, fatuous pedantry, faultless taste, favorable augury, fawning flatteries, fearful imprecations, fearless integrity, feasible mode, feeble dribble, feigned reluctance, felicitous expression, feminine capriciousness, ferocious foe, fertile fancy, fervent invocation, fervid enthusiasm, festive illuminations, fetid dampness, fettered tyranny, feverish bewilderment, fickle fancy, fictitious pretext, fidgety impatience, fierce resentment, fiery indignation, figurative eloquence, filial tenderness, final enthronement, fine sensibilities, finished artistry, fireside delights, fitful desire, fitting opportunity, fizzing flame, flaccid faith, flagging popularity, flagitious attack, flagrant boasting, flamboyant brilliancy, flaming zeal, flashing wit, flat denial, flattering aspect, flaunting insolence, flawless constitution, fleecy clouds, fleeting intimation, flickering conscience. End of section 13. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 14 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Pallavi, Hyderabad, India, August 2006. Flighty obstinacy, flimsy organization, flippant ease, floating blackness, florid oratory, flowery circumlocution, flowing imagery, fluctuating light, fluent sophist, fluffy indignation, fluid ideas, flushed embarrassment, fluttering laugh, focused attention, foggy notion, fond enthusiast, foolish frenzy, forbearing silence, forbidding air, forceful audacity, foregone conclusion, foremost opponent, forensic orator, forest stillness, forgotten graveyard, forlorn desolation, formal acquiescence, formidable barrier, formless jottings, formulated conclusions, fortified selfishness, fortuitous circumstance, foul calumny, fragile form, fragmentary facts, fragrant reminiscence, frail craft, frank admiration, frantic ardor, fraternal pity, freakish humor, freeborn soul, freezing disdain, frenzied haste, frequent digression, fresh impetus, freshening breeze, fretful discontent, friendly familiarity, frightened sense, frightful apparition, frigid disdain, frisky lightness, frivolous expedient, frolicsome extravagance, frozen wonder, fructifying thought, fruitful indignation, fruitless ripening, fugitive thoughts, full plenitude, fulsome praise, fumbling endeavor, functional disparity, fundamental principles, funeral gloom, furious invective, furrowed cheeks, furtive glance, fuzzy enthusiasms, futile babble. End of section 14. This recording is in the public domain. Section 15 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Pallavi, Hyderabad, India, August 2006. Grappling reminiscence, galing thought, galvanic jumping, gaping chasm, garbled information, garnished decorations, garnered experience, gathering gloom, gaudy embellishments, gaunt spectre, gay defiance, general acclamation, generative influence, generic characteristics, generous abundance, genial tolerance, genteel parlance, gentle blandishments, gentlemanly personage, genuine cynicism, geological enigma, geometrical progression, germinal idea, ghastly loneliness, ghostly apparitions, giant height, giddy pleasure, gifted intelligence, gigantic sagacity, girlish sprightliness, gladdening influence, gladiatorial exercise, gladsome glow, glaring impropriety, glassy smoothness, gleamy escutcheon, gleeful spirit, glibly condoned, gliding measures, glimmering idea, glistening dewdrop, glittering epigram, gloomy musing, glorious freedom, glossed false, glowering countenance, glowing anticipations, gnawing thoughts, godlike independence, golden opportunity, good-humored gibes, gorgeous splendor, gossiping opinion, governing impulse, graceful demeanor, gracious immunity, graduated sequence, grandiose nomenclature, graphic portrayal, grasping credulity, gratuitous rudeness, grave reticence, greedy grasp, gregarious humanity, grievously mistaken, grim swiftness, grinding despotism, grinning ghosts, griping fascination, grizzled warrior, gross exaggeration, grotesque perversion, groundless fear, groveling servility, growing tension, grudging thanks, grumbling monotone, guileless zeal, gullible humanity, gruggling brooks, gushing enthusiasm, gusty clamor, guttural incoherence, gymnastic agility. End of section 15. This recording is in the public domain. Section 16 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Pallavi, Hyderabad, India, August 2006. Habitual difference, hackneyed statement, hairbreadth difference, halcyon innocence, hallowed stillness, halting praise, hampered power, handsomely recompensed, haphazard ostentation, happy intuition, harassing anxiety, hardened indifference, harmless mirth, harmonious grace, harrowing details, harsh jaggering, hasty generalization, hateful malignity, haughty composure, haunting despair, hazardous enterprise, hazy recollection, headlong vehemence, healthful vitality, heartfelt amity, heartless perfidy, heart-rendering outcry, hearty contempt, heated discussion, heathen ardors, heavenly ecstasies, heavy handicap, hectic tittering, hectoring rant, headless love, heightened charm, heinous enormity, helpless innocence, Herculean monster, hereditary arrogance, heretical opinions, hermetically sealed, heroic fortitude, hesitating courage, heterogeneous mass, hidden pitfalls, hideous phantom, high-flying theories, highly meritorious, hilarious outburst, hillside mist, hissing murmur, historic edifice, hoarded vengeance, hoary antiquity, hollow joys, homebred virtues, homeless wind, homely pathos, homespun play, homicidal mania, homogeneous whole, honest admiration, honeyed eloquence, hooligan wind, hopelessly befogged, horrible swiftness, horrid significance, hortatory moonshine, hospitable courtesy, hostile partisan, hot frenzy, hovering presence, howling chaos, huddled faculties, huge aspiration, human derelict, humanitarian impulse, humbly propitiating, humdrum inconsistencies, humid lustre, humiliating discomfiture, humorless variety, humorous urbanity, hungry satisfaction, hurrying ears, hurtful indulgence, hushed laughter, husky shrillness, hybrid emotions, hypnotic fascination, hypochondriacal terrors, hypocritical pretense, hysterical agitation. End of section 16. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 17 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris Chapman. August 2006. Iconoclastic attitude. Icy smile. Idealistic type. Identical mode. Idiomatic propriety. Idiotic obstinacy. Idle jesting. Idolatrous fervour. Idyllic nonsense. Ignoble domination. Ignominious retreat. Ill-concealed impatience. Illiberal superstition. Illimitable progression. illiterate denizens, illogical interruption, illuminating insight, elusive touch, illustrative anecdote, illustrious era, imaginative warmth, embittered controversy, immaterial connection, immature dissent, immeasurable scorn, immediate abjuration, immemorial bulwark, immense complacency, imminent perplexities, immitigable contempt, immoderate grief, immortal creation, immovably silent, immutable law, impaired prestige, impalpable nothingness, impartial justice, impassible serenity, impassioned impulse, impatient yearning, impeccable felicity, impecunious exile, impelling movement, impending fate, impenetrable calmness, imperative necessity, imperceptible deviation, imperfect equipment, imperial authority, imperious mind, imperishable renown, impersonal compliment, impertinent drollery, imperturbable gravity, impetuous zeal, impious defiance, impish humour, implacable resentment, implicit faith, implied concealment, implored pardon, imponderable air, important epoch, importunate questions, imposing mien, impossible contingency, impotent desperation, impoverished age, impracticable obstinacy, impregnable fortress, impressionistic stroke, imprisoning limitations, improbable conjecture, impromptu utterance, improvising powers, imprudent indebtedness, impudent knowingness, impulsive gratitude, inaccessible dignity, inadequate appreciation, inadmissible expression, inadvertent remark, inalienable right, inanimate existence, inapposite blandness, inaptly designated, inarticulate lispings, inaugural discourse, inborn refinement, inbred taste, incalculable mischief, incarnate hate, incendiary opinions, incessant volume, incidental duty, incipient fancy. End of section 17. This recording is in the public domain. Section 18 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris Chapman. August 2006. Incisive critic. Incoherent loquacity. Incommunicable gift. Incomparable excellence. Incompletely apprehended. Inconceivable absurdity. Incongruous contrast. Inconsiderable trifle. Inconsistent conduct. Inconsolable cares. Incontestable inference. Incontrovertible proof. Incorrigible merriment. Incorruptible constancy. Increasing clamour. Incredible swiftness. Indecent saturnalia. Indecorously amused. Indefatigable diligence. Indefeasible title. Indefinable reluctance. Indefinite yearning. Indelible obligation. Indelicate impetuosity. Indented outline. Independent research. Indescribably lugubrious. Indestructible atoms. Indeterminable value. Indifferent promise. Indigenous growth. Indignant denunciation. Indirect interrogation. Indiscriminate censure. Indispensable requisites. Indisputable chronicler. Indissoluble compact. Indistinct association. Individual valour. Indivisible aspects. Indolent neglect. Indomitable pride. Indubitable signs. Indulgent construction. Indwelling delight. Ineffable disdain. Ineffaceable incongruity. Ineffectual blandishment. Ineradicable coquetry. Inestimable honour. Inevitable corollary. Inexcusable laughter. Inexhaustible abundance. Inexorable authority. Inexplicable reluctance. Inexpressible benignity. Inextricable confusion. Infallible judgment. Infamous pretense. Infantile simplicity. Infectious hilarity. Infelicitous arrangement. Inferential method. Infernal machinations. Infinite deference. Infinitesimal gradations. Infirm purpose. Inflamed curiosity. Inflated optimism. Inflexible integrity. influential voice, informing feature, infuriated demagogues, ingenious trick, inglorious victory, ingrained love, ingratiating exterior, inharmonious prelude, inherent dignity, inherited anxieties, inimitable felicity, iniquitous fortune, initiatory period, injudicious yielding, injured conceit, inky blackness, inmost recesses, innate forbearance, inner restlessness, innocent amenities, innocuous desuetude, innovating spirit, inoffensive copiousness, inopportune condition, inordinate ambition, inquisitional rack. End of section 18. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 19 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Kira Rutherford Bayes, August 2006. Inquisitive observer. Insatiable vanity. Inscrutable austerity. Insecure truce. Insensate barbarism. Insensibly flattered. Inseparably associated. Insidious tendency. Insignificant blot. Insincere profession. Insinuatingly pursued. Insipid tameness. Insistent babble. Insolent placidity. Insoluble riddles. Inspiring achievement. Inspiriting spectacle. Instant readiness. Instantaneous cessations. Instinctive disapproval. Insufferably dull. Insufficient appeal. Insular strength. Insulting invectives. Insuperable difficulty. Insurmountable obstacles. Intangible something. Integral element. Intellectual integrity. Intelligent adaptation. Intemperate scorn. Intense perplexity. Intensive cultivation. Intentional garbling. Interior spirit. Interlocking directorate. Intermediate link. Interminable question. Intermingled gloom. Intermittent threats. Internal dissension. Interpolated speech. Interpretative criticism. Interwoven thread. Intimately allied. Intolerably tedious. Intoxicating hum. Intractable temper. Entrenched privilege. Intrepid dexterity. Intricate interlacings. Intriguing braggart. Intrinsic fecundity. intrusive brightness, intuitive perception, invaluable composition, invariable kindness, inveighing incessantly, inventive jealousy, inveterate antipathy, invidious mention, invigorating discipline, invincible optimism, inviolable confidence, involuntary yearnings, involuted sentences, involved pomposity, invulnerable solemnity, inward disinclination, irascible doggedness, irate remonstrance, iridescent sheen, irksome task, iron resolution, ironic iciness, irradiating spirit, irrational awe, irreclaimable dead, irreconcilable parting, irrevocably lost, irrefragable laws, irrefutable argument, irregular constellations, irrelevant suggestion, irremediable sorrow, irreparable injury, irrepressible excitement, irreproachable exterior, irresistible will, irresponsible gossip, irretrievable blunder, irreverent audacity, irreversible facts, irrevocable verdict, irritable impatience, isolated splendor. End of section 19. This recording is in the public domain. Section 20 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser, read for LibriVox.org by Kira Rutherford Bayes, August 2006. Jaded sensibility, jagged outline, jarring discord, jaundiced opinion, jaunty confidence, jealous animosity, jesting allusion, jingling alliteration, jocular mirth, jocund host, jostling confusion, jovial fancy, joyful alacrity, joyous stagnation, jubilant antagonist, judicial impartiality, judicious candor, just rebuke, juvenile attempt. Kaleidoscopic pictures, keen insight, kindled enthusiasm, kindly innocence, kindred sympathies, kingly generosity, knavish conduct, knightly achievement, known disingenuousness, labored levity, labyrinthian windings, lacerated feelings, lachrymose monotony, lackadaisical manner, laconic force, lagging footsteps, lamentable helplessness, languid impertinence, large receptivity, lashing scorn, latent conviction, laudable zeal, laughable absurdity, lavish liberality, lawless freedom, lazy acquiescence, leaden steps, leaping ambition, learned gravity, leering smile, legal perspicacity, legendary associations, legislative enactment, legitimate inference, leisurely composure, lengthening shadows, leonine powers, lethargic temperament, lettered coxcomb, liberal contemplations, lifeless imbecility, lifelong adherence, lightless eyes, lightly disregard, lightning glare, limpid twilight, lingering tenderness, linguistic attainments, liquid eloquence, lisping utterance, listening reverence, listless apathy, literal exactness, literary research, lithe contortions, little idiosyncrasies, lively susceptibility, livid lightning, living manifestation, loathsome oppression, local busybody, loftiest aspirations, logical precision, lone magnificence, longing fancy, looming probabilities, loquacious assurances, lordly abhorrence, loud vociferation, lounging gait, loutish rudeness, lovingly quizzical, lowering aspects, lowest degradation, loyal adhesion, lucid treatment, lucrative profession, ludicrous incongruity, lugubrious question, lukewarm repentance, lumbering gaiety, luminous interpretation, lurid picturesqueness, lurking suspicion, lustrous surface, luxuriant richness, lying equivocations. End of section 20. This recording is in the public domain.
Section 21 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Linton. M. Maddening monotony. Magic fascination. Magisterial emphasis. Magnanimous concessions. Magnetic fascination. Magnificent fluorescence. Magniloquent diction. Maidenly timidity. Main ramifications. Majestic dignity. Maladjusted marriages. Malevolent ingenuity. Malicious aspersions. Malign influence. Malodorous gentility. Manageable proportions. Mangled arguments. Manifest reluctance. Manifold functions. Manly reticence. Mantling smile. Manual dexterity. Manufactured melancholy. Marked individuality. Marketable commodity. Marshalled hosts. Martial footsteps. Marvellous lucidity. Masculine power. Masked expression. massive strength, master achievement, matchless charm, material misconception, maternal solicitude, mathematical precision, matrimonial alliance, matured reflection, maudlin sentimentalism, mawkish insipidity, maximum intensity, meagre evidence, mean trickeries, meaningless confusion, measured cadence, mechanical handicraft, meditatively silent, meek ambition, melancholy musing, mellifluous eloquence, mellow refinement, melodious platitudes, melodramatic resource, melting mood, memorable experience, menacing attitude, mendacious tongue, mendicant pilgrim, mental metamorphosis, mercenary view, merchantable literature, merciful insensibility, merciless censor, mercurial temperament, mere generalization, meretricious allurements, meridian splendor, merited ridicule, merry jest, metallic immobility, metaphysical obscurity, meteoric splendours. End of section 21. This recording is in the public domain. Section 22 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Linton. Methodical regularity, metrical exactness, microscopic minuteness, mighty animosity, mild rejoinder, militant struggles, military autocracy, millennial reign, mimic gestures, minatory shadow, mincing precision, mingled decorousness, miniature imitations, minor impulses, minute consideration, miraculous profusion, mirroring lake, mirthful glance, mischievous effusion, miserable musings, misleading notion, misshapen oddities, misspent strength, mistaken assumption, mistrustful superiority, misty depression, mitigating circumstances, mobile countenance, mock seriousness, modest cheerfulness, modified sentiment, mouldy doctrines, mollifying conditions, momentary discomfiture, momentous pause, monarchical institutions, monastic austerity, monotonous sameness, monstrous absurdity, monumental structure, moody silence, moonlight witchery, moral obliquity, morbid imagination, mordant wit, moribund mediocrities, moral affront, mortified coldness, motley appearance, mountainous inequalities, mournful magnificence, mouthing amplitude, muddled opinion, muddy inefficiency, muffled detonations, mullioned windows, multifarious activity, multiform truth, multiple needs, multitudinous details, mundane importance, mural decorations, murderous parody, murky recesses, musical diapason, mute insensibility, mutinous thoughts, muttered warning, mutual animosity, myriad lights, mysterious potency, mystic meaning, mythical kingdom. End of section 22. This recording is in the public domain. Section 23 of 15,000 Useful Phrases by Grenville Kleiser. Read for LibriVox.org by Linton. N. Naive manner, naked eye, nameless fear, narcotic effect, narrowing axioms, nasal drone, nascent intercourse, national shortcomings, native incompetence, natural sluggishness, nauseous doze, nautical venture, neat refutation, nebulous uncertainty, necessary adjuncts, necromantic power, needless depression, nefarious scheme, negative approbation, negligible quantity, neighbouring mists, nerveless hand, nervous solicitude, nettled opponent, neutral eye, new perplexities, nice discrimination, niggardly allowance, nightmare fantasy, nimble faculty, noble condescension, nocturnal scene, nodding approval, noiseless reverie, noisy platitudes, nomadic life, nominal allegiance, nonchalant manner, non-committal way, nondescript garb, nonsense rhymes, noonday splendour, normal characteristics, notable circumstance, noteworthy friendship, noticeably begrimed, notoriously profligate, novel signification, nugatory cause, numbed stillness, numberless defeats, numerical majority. O. Obdurate courage, obedient compliance, objectionably apologetic, obligatory force, obligingly expressed, oblique tribute, obscure intimation, obsequious homage, observant eye, obsolete phraseology, obstinate defiance, obstreperous summons, obtrusive neatness, obvious boredom, occasional flights, occult sympathy, ocean